hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks radiance, give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones. I'm losing it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries. I'm joined by my tag team partner, Astrid Pizarro. And Astrid, would you please introduce us to our special guest for tonight?
I was gonna say the simplest I could go. It's host and content creator Joey. How are you, Joey?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Joe, why
No,
don't you
thank you
go,
for
for
coming.
anybody who might not know who you are, why don't you go ahead and tell the people what you do, how long you've been watching wrestling, all that kind of fun stuff.
Oh, awesome. So I've been watching wrestling since I was about 3 years old. Sat with my grandfather one day and I was just turned on to it. I'm 31 now and it doesn't look like it's ever going away. So it's one of those lifetime hobbies. But yeah, I've been doing that since I was 3, and I'm a content creator. I am a interviewer, host, if you want to say, all things in the wrestling realm, I guess we could say.
Well, we appreciate you jumping in and joining us for one of, as we found out during the pre-show, one of your favorite wrestling weekly shows, the NXT product.
Absolutely. NXT is my favorite weekly show across the board in wrestling, and especially this show we just had. There's no way I'm going to sleep tonight. I can just say that now.
We got video bro Barry Munson jumping in saying, "Good evening, my friends, and Joey, welcome to Olay." And we got a good friend, Mark Toxin Plays, Mark Talks Wrestling in here saying, "Hey, oh, Mark's up late, but at least it's earlier than it was last night for Money in the Bank coverage as he was on our Money in the Bank show."
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Shawn Cena, like everybody on Twitter, hey, did somebody say his name because Joe Hendry's face appeared at the end? Yep. I just saw one of my good friends, one of the people that I really respect, Zach Ralph from Love Wrestling, tweeted out, they used Joe Hendry like an Avengers post-credit scene.
It's true.
That is the best explanation for what just happened. But
Very
before
accurate.
getting into the show, we got to go back to the beginning of the show. And of course, we got to thank one person for all of this greatness. And he's right here. We got to thank Chef Shawn.
The chef.
Another wonderful premium live event for Chef Shawn. Quick one from all of us. Did Money in the Bank or Heatwave deliver a better premium live event? Joey, we'll start with you.
Heatwave delivered. I tweeted this out earlier in the night. NXT PLEs, or what we know as takeovers, have such a different aura than any other wrestling PLE or pay-per-view. From the beginning to the end, every match is a banger, and you can just expect, like, you feel like you're at an indie show with thousands of people, and every match is fantastic.
Astrid, do you agree?
Yeah, it just feels like, I feel like with the, I don't want to say rookies, but like if you call it like that, most of the people in NXT are rookies. I feel like they just have something to prove, especially to people outside of the PC, and you can see them more than anything during these PLEs. They just show out because they do great on a weekly basis, but I feel like they do like above and beyond for a PLE. And it just shows you, like, they're like, we have something to prove. We want to show them that we're just as great as the main roster. So here it is. And then we start with the PLE, and it's like today was no different.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's hard to deny how great Heatwave is. Maybe I'm slightly more interested in the storylines going on Heatwave, but it was just, it felt like I had more time to breathe during Money in the Bank. And on Heatwave, it was just go, go, go. Speaking of go, we go right to the pre-show where they even gave us a pre-show match for the first time. I believe this is the first NXT pre-show match since the Schism versus Chase U. I think it's been that long since we've had a pre-show match on NXT. But we had the Toronto connection of Arianna Grace and Karmen Petrovic taking on Jacy, Jayne, and Jazmyn next. I didn't get a chance to see this match in full, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But Astrid, you are our go-to expert on all things women's wrestling. What did you think of this match?
I feel like it was a fun match. I like the chemistry that we have with Arianna and Karmen there. I feel like they did great as a team there. It was very fun. It was just like those moments that you see Jazmyn and Jacy and being a team, you think they will take over the match. And it was incredible to see Arianna and Karmen with like constant tags and the chemistry they have with each other. It was something I was not expecting from them. I think I was hoping just for a little bit that they would match their gears. That would have been awesome too, because I did like they had everything for the team. They just needed that part. But I did like both of their gears, so even separately. But again, I feel like it was a fun show, and I like the ending too, because in the end we have Karmen with she's in the roll up, and here comes Arianna to like help her reverse it, so that way she's able to pin her opponent and win the match for the team. And I like how at the end, even later on when they're with Ava, she's like, "Yeah, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have won the match." And it's like, "What do you mean? I was the one that got the pin." It's like, "What do you mean? I was the one that helped you." And I love the back and forth between both of them here. It's very fun. So it's just amazing to see. And now even they say, well, we don't know who's going to be the best of us because we're in a team. We're not one-on-one. And Ava tells us, well, you can prove that this week in NXT, so we'll get them one-on-one this week.
And before we get to Joey's thoughts on this, I just want to go ahead and thank our good friends at Get the Tables who just finished their watch-along for Heatwave. Got Money in the Bank on my mind now. But thank you for rating us with your 35 viewers. We greatly appreciate it, Tony. We hope you guys had a good night tonight with that show. As we have Get the Tables coming in himself saying, holy shit, what an ending. Yeah. The ending of that main event was definitely something to see. Oh, nope. Sean Cena does correct me. There was a stand and deliver pre-show match between Joe Gacy and Sean Spears a couple of Premium Live events ago, and that is correct. I forget about that one. For some reason, I forget about that one.
I don't think that was a long match either.
No. Yeah. It's the one that Ridge Holland got involved with, too.
Yeah.
Ridge hit Joe Gacy with the chair before it started. Now that I hear it, I'm like, yep, no, that happened.
Yeah.
We do also have STG coming in and saying that Heatwave was better than Money in the Bank, which I agree. But Joey, what did you think of the pre-show match here between the ladies?
This is one of those times where I miss the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. I know that's a touchy subject for some people, but these two teams could easily hold those titles and make them entertaining. Arianna Grace, what Arianna's doing, she doesn't even have to wrestle, and she is one of the most entertaining superstars on the entire roster. And I think a lot of people forget that her father is Santino Marella. And if you don't know who Santino Marella is, he's one of the most entertaining characters of all time. So, of course, his daughter is going to follow in his footsteps and get over as well as she did, whether it's with Karmen or whether it's with somebody else like Gigi, like she had before. I don't know. I love what Karmen's doing. I loved her time with Natty, and now seeing this kind of like, are we friends? Are we not friends thing, and then getting a win. Mm-hmm. I can easily see them being one of the fan favorite tag teams in NXT.
I think we're gonna get the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships back at some point.
I hope so.
Either that, or they've got to start bringing these titles back down to NXT like they were originally planned. Like, we've got Alba and Isla not doing a whole hell of a lot right now. It wouldn't be bad to bring them down here and start developing. We've got Jakara and Lash. We've got Jacy and Jazmyn. We could potentially have this, Toronto tag team that could be fun. There's a lot of fun you could do, and there's still some other pairings you could do. Sol Ruca and Kelani Jordan, I think, could be a fun tag team when eventually Kelani loses that the title. I think there's a route that you could go at some point.
Yeah.
Mark talks in place. What? Santino is her dad? Yes.
There's no way you didn't know that, Mark. Come on.
Bianca Sorelli is indeed the daughter of Santino Marella,
Yes.
famed WWE superstar who also won the Intercontinental Championship on his WWE debut against Umaga. On this weekend where we're celebrating the life of Sika. It's always fun to mention all the fun things that happened with that Samoan dynasty.
Of course, you can't really see it with my green screen, but you always got to put your fingers up. The one.
Speaking of the one, do you acknowledge Solo Sikoa as your tribal chief, or is it still The Rock? Not The Rock. I'm looking at a picture of The Rock behind Roman Reigns.
To kind of paraphrase what Paul Heyman said, he is not my tribal chief.
So all of our local establishment, except for Mark, who's silly, goes ahead and acknowledges that Roman Reigns is still the tribal chief.
Yeah, absolutely.
Video bro Bobby Munson acknowledges Solo. He rides with. Oh yeah, he does ride with the werewolf. That is true. John Cena says Cody Rhodes is my tribal chief. Wins that one. Oh, Mark, I knew Mark would get in there with that one. We move on to the main card, and oh boy, did they start with a big one. Oba Femi defending his title against Wesley. I love the new Oba Femi introduction where they've got like the on-screen graphics of like it cuts back and forth between him coming out, and he is having the best time.
Yeah,
like his music's playing and he's just bopping himself down in the ring.
He knows what's about to happen. That's why.
He does. He knows he was in for a fun night, and boy, was it a fun night. Joey, why don't you go ahead and talk about Oba Femi versus Wesley here?
You know, Oba Femi is one of those guys where he hasn't been doing this for such a long time, not even a while, and he came in and just dominated in a way that we haven't seen dominated in a long time. And I think that what's so interesting about him is that when you look at the big men in WWE and even NXT, they're positioned as these non-human, creatures where they don't lose. They can't face anybody in the ring without, a squash for verbiage. Oba is one of those guys that can take a drop kick and gets knocked down very easily. He blends in very well with the smaller guys, the bigger guys, all sizes of athletes on NXT. And I think that's what makes him such a diverse character. And then you have someone like Wesley, who by far is one of, if not the face of NXT. He's been there for such a long time now. A lot of people doubted him from being a tag team competitor, going on a singles run. I even did it myself. One of the greatest North American champions of all time, if not the greatest. And I don't know what happens next. I think the loss tonight was setting him up for maybe some rascal stuff to go down with this TNA stuff. But I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I've said on multiple occasions how much I adore my spirit animal Oba Femi. This man is a brick wall in the greatest of senses. Yeah. But he has so much, he emotes so much during these matches, through his facial actions, through getting knocked down, when he's on top and when he's, getting his butt kicked, even in the moments where he's getting his butt kicked, which is shocking for a man his size that they let him do that. He's always got this extra gear to go to.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's, like you said, done this for so little time, and he's so seamlessly ingrained himself as such a great competitor. I would love to see what would happen if he got a week with The Undertaker. Just to get that next level of what more can he do.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing missing, is that there's a little bit of something missing. I don't know what it is.
Let him go train with Damian Priest.
Go to. And but this match is just, oh good God, the things that happen in this match. Oba Femi just throwing Wesley with reckless abandon, like up in the air, over his head. That overhand slap that he does from the outside of the ring to somebody on the apron is just shockingly effective. And it does bring me to the point that Mark has here. Femi versus Gunther for the world title at WrestleMania 41. That's how much he loves Oba, because Mark Talks Wrestling is Gunther's number 2 fan. Of course, he is Gallus's number 1 fan, so we'll talk more about him when we get to the Gallus stuff later in the show. But no, Wesley did everything he needed to do here. Those cardiac kicks had me worried that they were going to put Wesley over Oba Femi, but at the end of the day, they made the smart choice. Oba wins again, and I can't wait to see who they build to beat Oba Femi. But he is beatable.
Yeah.
We've seen him on the ropes. We've seen him almost lose. They've at least made him that he's not, like you said, he's not invincible.
Yeah.
And he's everything that they wanted, and I'll say this every week. He's everything they wanted Omos to be. He can talk on the mic. He's big. He's Nigerian. And don't get me wrong. Don't think that they don't want a Nigerian giant. Like, when they call him the Nigerian giant, they wanted that for a specific reason.
Yeah.
Oba Femi's doing that and then some.
Yeah.
Ash,
Let's see the three of. Let's see Oba Femi, Omos, and Apollo Crews in the stable.
That could be fun.
All
You can
Nigerians.
even add Moose.
Yeah.
No Moose.
Nobody wants moose. No. No thanks.
We didn't have any Moose, but we did have Oba Femi here. What'd you think?
Yeah, I prefer Oba anytime over moose, please. No, there was just moments that even when at one point towards the beginning of the match when West hit hard on the concrete floor, and the way they just reacted to that, I was like, oh, they're stopping this match right here, and this is over. And it's like I was so nervous when this started, and even the way Oba just tossed him, just like he was nothing. It was like it's just incredible to watch him on a weekly basis do what he does. And there were moments during this match when, especially towards the end, when there was one of the cardiac kicks, and I was like, oh, this is it. And then when he kicked out, I was like, what else is going to happen here for him to actually like lose? It was just incredible to watch it. I had my moments that I was thinking, yeah, for sure, we have Wesley as the champion, because I was thinking with the stipulation, I don't want Wesley to not be champion. But then obviously just we have Oba retaining, so now we have West. I don't want to say lingering, but in a way, it's like, do we have him with the Rascals and have something else happening here? Or does he go down to the world title? Because we do have a heel champion at the end of the day now. So it's like we do need, face contenders. So it's like I feel like Wesley will be a good baby face to go against our new champion. So it's like I think we can see that happening in the future, and I wouldn't mind it because I think Wesley does deserve to have that kind of spotlight with him.
Yeah, there's a lot of wonderful things that we can do with Wesley, and we'll talk more about that on Tuesday when he talks about it. But I think, like you guys both do, I think he's going to go and meet up with some friends and get a little higher than he's been in a while, if we know what we're saying.
Go do a TNA run for a little while.
Sean Cena says, hopefully they build the King to defeat Oba. No, we don't want Lexus King doing anything. We don't even want to watch Lexus King on Tuesday, but we're going to have to. Imagine Oba Femi versus Gunther at a PLE in Lagos. That could be fun. They are going around the world, and he says, I would rather have Gallus than Moose.
Yeah.
Wow, that's saying something. We had Lola and Roxanne arriving at the arena earlier today and preps for their match. And then we move on to a very different but very interesting North American Women's Championship match between Sol Ruca and Kelani Jordan. Astrid, what do you think?
Oh, this was so fun. I'm glad this was a different kind of pacing, because first we have two faces, two friends. I like how even during the kickoff, they just show a video of them working out together before the pay-per-view. It's not something that you see very often between challenger and champion. So I like seeing that kind of, relationship, to see it happening before the match happens. But even the opening sequence, like the way they have the back and forth with each other, it's like they reverse each other's moves and they just have a stalemate. And I was like, what is going on here? They had, I think, 2 stalemates before the match really got started moving forward. And the way they just move against each other, it was like, I wish I could know everything they did, because it was so very well done. The pacing was incredible. But I like moments of at that moment they was so trying to do a face splash to Kelani. Kelani just reverses it and just kind of does like a split and kicks her right after that. And I was like, how did you do that? It doesn't even seem like human to do that. It's like the gravity this woman have. I don't know how they do it. And even Sol doing the surfboard kind of lariat, the way she did it, that was just incredible to watch. And there were moments here, especially like towards like the second half of the match, that I really thought that Sol was gonna take it. But I kept thinking, no, I definitely think this is gonna be like Kalani's gonna be like the Rollins for this championship and build it up and give it kind of like legacy for somebody else to keep going with it. But again, they just had such an incredible back and forth. I just loved it from beginning to end. And like I told Ed, if it wasn't because Saul's the face, the way Saul was standing behind Kalani, I got nervous for a moment thinking there was going to be a turn in there. And I was like, if it wasn't because his beloved Saul, I would have thought otherwise. So it's like, it was that moment when Kalani raised her hand and when Kalani was celebrating, she was behind her. I was like, I'm afraid to look. Is it going to happen? But I was hoping it wouldn't because it was Saul. But again, I'm hoping they do. I don't know if they will do a rematch between both of them because it was a clean finish. But this is not one of those matches that I wouldn't mind seeing again.
Joy, what do you think of this match?
I love what Astrid just said, comparing it to what Seth Rollins did with the world title. There's two different routes they can go, and they're very clear routes. One, they could do exactly what Astrid just said. Let her go and hold this title for as long as she can, really elevating herself, because we haven't really seen that much of Kelani until now, so she's still being built in the process of building this title. Or two, they can kind of go the Roxanne Perez route where she eventually loses the title to someone like Sol, who I think is the next face of the NXT women's division, because I love her. I love her moveset, and she's such a unique character. But with Kelani, I think that if they maybe make her lose that title very early on, she could potentially turn heel like Roxanne and have an even bigger career, because I think right now she's too nice. Plain and simple, she's like she's the nice girl. She's, giving everybody title opportunities, and she's shaking hands and kissing babies. And I think that they need to really give her an opportunity to show if she could be a heel.
Kelani for president 2024. Better than either of the options we've got right now. Let's be honest.
And that 450 clothesline I just saw in the chat.
Yeah.
That was impressive. One of the best moments in the entire night.
Yeah, that move, I was like, what the? How? How do you have the acrobatic ability to be able to hit that move? It's just sensational. We got Dar Amazing jumping in the chat. What's up, people? Yes, Kelani for Prez. I mean, anybody. I love the idea that you took of having Kelani lose that title early and having her turn heel. And if she's going to go that route, she has the perfect mentor to teach her how to deliver a heel promo, to go ahead and help her embrace the cocky heel side of it with her boyfriend, Carmelo Hayes. He can really give her that insight into being that kind of a character, which I think that's the one thing Roxanne's lacking, is she's lacking the honesty factor, the feeling that I believe her when she's being this character.
Yeah.
What we all thought Bayley would have trouble with when she proved us all wrong by saying, no, I've got this. Don't you worry. I can be a cocky heel too. Kelani Jordan is impressing me week after week. She's so great. However, I still want to go like the route that Joey said. Have her lose this early, and I want to have her lose it within the next few months to Jada Parker. Because Jada Parker is a star. And I think that there's a way that Joey was talking about it. You can either have one champion who holds it 8, 9, 12 months in a row, and you build the lineage that way of just defending. Or you can go the hot potato route. Make this championship something desirable and kind of pop it between a couple different people back and forth. Have Kelani hold it for 2 or 3 months. Lose it to Jada Parker. Have her hold it for 2 or 3 months. Have her lose it to Sol Ruca. Have Sol Ruca lose it to, a Lola Vice or something like that. Kind of pop it around just a little bit to show that everybody wants this. And make it
elevate them.
Yeah, because you can continue to elevate multiple people while sliding them up and down between the North American Championship and the Women's Championship. Because while we have a deep and diverse women's roster that NXT does such a great job of focusing on each and every week to make sure that everybody has something going on, you're going to have to kind of dip and dive and borrow and steal from each division to continuously have stories going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way that you can do it, where if you kind of hot potato this for the first year and then find your definitive champion, this is the person who's going to put the stamp on this as this is my title.
Yeah.
And let them go with it.
Mhm.
Let's get back to the chat for just a little bit here. We got give Soul Ruca the keys to everything. She has it. Jordan's improved so much. Loved this match. Happy both women got the spotlight and shine today. Yeah, they absolutely took the opportunity to have that spotlight. Did not turn it off. Bailey turning heel was indeed fun. Yes, it was. It's amazing how many women have star potential. Yeah. Isn't it crazy how if you just Cora Jade?
I was going to mention this
her in a bit.
Did you see her tweet? Did you guys see her tweet?
No.
She's on her way back.
Tweet that in January she was told 6 to 9 months, which means she's due back any day now.
Yeah.
And with Julia being held back in Japan for a little bit longer, dealing with more Marigold obligations, Cora Jade seems like a perfect opportunity at Great American Bash. If I'm booking.
Now let me ask you both a question. In regards to Cora Jade coming back, does she come back as a face or does she come back as a heel? Because what was supposed to happen is the position of Roxanne right now was supposed to be Cora Jade when she got hurt. And Roxanne turned into this amazing heel that I don't think anybody thought she could become. And when Cora comes back, does she go back to being a babyface? Like, I'm the actual badass in NXT? Or how does that go?
I think it's tough because before she left, the way she was being a heel, I didn't like it. Because it was one of those, like, a lot of girls have already had kind of like that mean girl kind of gimmick, and she was not making it unique for herself.
She
So
had
I really
like a
wanted her.
type, like,
So it was like not only that, but she was too cocky, but she didn't have anything to back it up with. So it's like in my mind, I was like, I don't believe you. It's like if you told me like a Roxanne would be saying that, I would believe her because Roxanne, look at her resume in NXT already. Cora, on the other hand, doesn't have that resume. So for me, it was not genuine. I would have liked her to have a little bit more to back it up before she actually said those words. Like, oh yeah, I'm better than everybody else. I'm like, you've only been women's tag champion. So it was like, there's nothing you can really show for it. Versus, I feel like I don't know how I will believe her now as a face, but I think she's better as a face in that aspect. And I feel like it would be kind of interesting to have the roles reversed because she did turn on Roxanne, but now Roxanne's the heel. It would be interesting if she was the face this time around. And then to see that dynamic between both of them when the roles have changed, I think that's something I would like to see. And I feel like Cora does need a little bit more building as a heel, so I wouldn't want her as a heel again. But at the same time, the way she's tweeting, it almost seems like she's still a heel, so it's just interesting right now.
Yeah.
She has to come back to defend her dad. Roxanne called her dad a hypocrite, so now she has to come back and defend Punk. That's all it is. She's got to be a babyface.
I feel like anytime someone comes back, they come back as a babyface.
They try to because everybody wants to see the return, so they cheer the return.
Exactly.
It's that emotional connection. Oh my God, they're here! Yay! It's never oh my God, boo.
Unless Cora comes back and she goes after the Women's North American Championship, and we eventually build to a title versus title match between her and Roxanne.
We could, but I'm really sick of title versus title. I like the fact that we have two titles. Let's keep them separate.
Well, no, not to combine them, just for one. Okay. For the NXT Women's and have.
Okay, I can be down for that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
WWE does stuff. They could do crazy stuff like that.
We've got Millie Rose joining us on time tonight. Hello, Millie. Thank you for joining us. We're also going to go back just real quick as we were talking about it. Get the table set it, and they brought us a nice rave, so I want to bring it up. Is there anyone on NXT right now who can defeat Oba Femi? I think the route to do this is to build Javon Evans. That's my choice. I think you gave Evans the spotlight here to be like, look, he's good. Everybody look at this guy. And now you bring him back down the card and you slowly build him so that in 4 to 6 months, he can be the one to take down Oba Femi.
I like that idea. I have two other names that come to mind because I like what WWE does now because Triple H is in charge, especially with Shawn Michaels. They're into the long game. So like let's build superstars out, not just like a month or two for a storyline. Let's build them out long term for a year or whatever. I think they have a great opportunity to build Charlie Dempsey to potentially go into that role to get out of the catch whatever that group that he's with.
Candy Crew.
Yeah, whatever the hell they're called. I don't even know their name anymore. There's so many different.
No quarter catch crew is
There
there.
you go. The no quarter, the no penny catch, whatever they're called. with the whatever. Get him out of there and put him into like. Let's have a storyline where William Regal comes out and goes, "Son, get away from these guys. You're good on your own." And now we start to build, like, resurrect William Regal and his son, and have him go to that role. Or there's somebody else that's really flying under the radar right now, and he's coming back this week, and you start to build Brooks Jensen.
Yeah.
And that would be a great challenger for Oba, and build him from, like, his downfall right now to winning a championship.
Mark and Talks and Plays says Joe Hendry. I think Joe Hendry has a different championship on his mind based on the end of the show. What about you? What do you think?
I feel like it's tough to pick somebody like that. I do like the idea of Javon, though. It just feels like a little bit unrealistic in that aspect because he's so tiny against Oba would be the only thing. So it's like, unless somebody maybe like a Wesley comes in here, he's like, I don't want you to be champion because of the stipulation. It was like, I cannot challenge for the championship as long as you're champion. So maybe whoever goes next against Oba, West comes in to help them win, because that way he can go for the championship next because Oba's not champion anymore. So maybe something along those lines, like, it's like, I'll help you out because it helps me in the end. So maybe something along those lines, even like West being a babyface, but I feel like in the end, he wants that gold and he cannot have it as long as Oba's champion. So might have, find out something around those loose ends, as we say. So you never know. But I wouldn't mind also somebody from TNA coming over and doing something with him as well. I feel like that would be something interesting. But I feel like right now with the North American Championship, it's like I don't see anybody, aside from Wesley that just happened, I didn't see anybody like really built up to go against Oba. So it'll be interesting moving forward who would go for that route. The other one that I kept thinking of too would be I forgot which one of the coffees is the one that's a single. I think it's a Mark. Is he the one by himself? There you go. I always do the opposite one for some reason. So maybe Joe will be another one. I feel like he's big enough that he can go against Oba.
Bobby brings up Hammerstone as an idea for somebody from TNA.
Yeah, that's a great name. With the Gallus boys, there were so many chances already where they were like in these title opportunities that I thought they were going to win and they didn't. So now it's like, why are you still doing it if you're not going to give it to them?
I don't understand why they're not on the main roster already. Like, I think they're good enough to just put all three of them on the main roster.
Let me tell you, those guys should be on the main roster, and they should be the lackeys for Drew McIntyre to take out CM Punk.
I think that's a perfectly good idea. I can't wait for Drew McIntyre to start walking around with Bad News Barrett everywhere. That's what I need to see now.
Make Gallus like the new APA, where like they're on the main roster and people just like pay them to take care of people for them.
Yeah, that would work.
Just go around mauling people.
Millie Rose brings up PCO versus Obafemi.
Oh man.
Oh, PCO. Oh boy.
PC needs to go, is what I think.
I remember watching him as a child. I think he's had his fun. It's time to let PCO just retire at some point.
My guy AJ Francis is going to put him down in a few weeks at Slammiversary.
Yeah. Speaking of Gallus, we do get the Twitter promo with Gallus as they respond to TNT, as I call them, Tyreek and Tyson from their Twitter exchanges. And we get that match confirmed that they're going to have that this week. It was match that was supposed to happen last week. There we go. It'll be fun. It was a really good Gallus promo, actually. All three of them got to say their piece. While Joe was the main focal point of it, everybody kind of got their little piece in there. I'm excited to see what happens. Back to the chat. We got, why do you keep doing it if you're not going to let them win? WWE logic in a nutshell.
Yep.
I mean, as long as it's for the story, it's fine. But like
they did it with Chad Gable with the IC title. I mean, how many title opportunities are you going to give to people and not give it to them? People are just going to stop caring about the storyline and those people.
Yeah. Chad Gable is an extreme circumstance that people just rallied behind him and then rallied against him, and it's worked out in their favor. But it could have gone drastically wrong.
Well, he's got a Wyatt 6 problem now, so I think that he's good for a little while.
Oh yeah, he's not challenging for any titles anytime soon.
No, that guy's not going to be able to sleep anymore.
Speaking of people who probably won't sleep tonight, Karmen, Petrovic, and Arianna Grace are backstage with Ava. This is the program that we talked about earlier where they make their match because they can't get along, but both of them think that they're the reason why they won. So now they have to go ahead and split up the wonderful new tag team that we just got. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
And we have that match made for Tuesday night. Tuesday's got a pretty decent show if you don't count Lexus King, but the rest of that show looks pretty good.
Every Tuesday, most consistent show on cable.
We then get the tag team championship match. Nathan Frazer finally decides to show up on top to the show just before the beginning of the show. Nathan, you're running on Bret Hart time, and you're not good enough to be running on Bret Hart time. For my Canadians in the chat, as I know there's a few of them that will understand that reference. I love this match. Chase U versus, as we call him here, Axiom, was just fantastic. The Swanton Gutbuster that Duke Hudson did in this match was a thing of just pure gold. Duke Hudson himself is a thing of pure gold. That slingshot German suplex he does is unreal. That was unreal. Andre Chase broke up a pinfall by jumping on the back of Nathan Frazer to deliver a Canadian destroyer to Axiom. Like, what the fuck was this match? But somehow, some way, through 3 near fall, I swear this is the end of the match segments, Nathan Frazer and Axiom somehow slip out with the win and retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. I'll be honest, this is the one thing on this show that I thought was the wrong call. I would have rather had the idea of breaking up the tag team and having them kind of split, feud with each other, and then one goes to the North American division, one goes to the world title division, and then you can flip-flop it if you need to. I was really hoping that they would break apart and do something new. However, you can't argue with this magic that was in this match. This was fantastic. Joey, what'd you think, though?
You're not going to like me for this one. I got 3 words for this match, and it's I don't care. These two teams, to me, I cannot get into. I don't know why. Chase U, I feel like they are great. The segments they do backstage with the classroom segments, I love those. Where 1 minute, Andre Chase is, he's talking, all of a sudden he's cursing and they're bleeping him out. It's great. They're awesome in the ring, but the whole big picture of it, I'm not sold on it. Now on the other side, the NXT Tag Team Champions, why are these? It's like they don't have anything else for these guys to do, and they just put them together, and like obviously one of them is going to turn on the other, and I think it's going to be Nathan turning on Axiom, but I don't understand the hype as to why they're the tag team champions, but like, why is this continuing on for so long? I thought the right call would have given it to the Good Brothers at the last show that they were, and let the Good Brothers help build these other NXT, these new teams. The Good Brothers versus Chase U would have been a great match because the Good Brothers can put anybody over. So Axiom and Nathan Frazer, like, something is missing for me. I just don't know what it is, and I cannot get into the tag team title run. Great match, though. I loved the match was great. Like, entertaining and fast pace and all those things that you get from these two teams. It was just, I don't like the teams.
No, Luke Gallows shouldn't be allowed anywhere. Astrid, now that Joey's broken your heart saying that he doesn't care about either Axiom nor Nathan,
I'm sorry.
Favorite boys.
You're gonna hate me for this one. I see you say.
And Astrid's like, I do now hate you for this one.
Yeah. No, I love them together, but I figured the way the match is going, especially when there was a part that I think it was Nathan that hit Axiom. At that moment is when I was thinking they're done, and I was waiting for them to lose the championship series because even to me, loving them as a team, I thought they were gonna lose this match, and I thought with the story moving forward, that would have been it because Axiom can easily tell Nathan, "You are not in the zone." First, you were concentrated on the Heritage Cup, then on the Davey Speed match, and then you didn't come here on time because you were focused on other things, and you were not focused on us as champions. And I really wanted that to be like the story here within the match of him like it's your fault that we lost basically, and I was waiting for that to happen. So when that moment happened in the match, I was like, oh shoot, they're done, they're really done. And that pin that Ed was talking about, the way that Andre just like that pin itself, I was thinking, oh, that's it, that's the end of the match. And there were so many moments that I was like, it's done, and then something else would happen and they will break the pin. I was like, what is happening with this match? But that Canadian driver, as they said, it was beautifully done. I loved it. And yeah, it's like that ending in itself. It just, I was not expecting Axiom to retain at all. And I waited for those moments of like, yeah, this is for sure it. And I was waiting for them to go their separate ways and probably go against each other first before they go their separate ways. So I definitely did not expect them to retain this championship tonight, but it happened. So let's see what happens moving forward. But yes, it broke my heart. It definitely did.
I mean, it may have broken your heart, but we do have Millie Rose and Amazing both agreeing with Joey that the Good Brothers should have been the tag team champions.
You know what it is about Chase U as well? Sorry to go on continuing my rant.
Oh, trust me, I'm the king of rants. You're all set. You're welcome here.
Awesome. We can do this every week. For me, Chase U is like, didn't Rich Holland like retire for 2 weeks and then he came back?
Yeah.
And now he's like, wasn't he with Pete Dunne, Butch, and Sheamus doing awesome things on SmackDown? And now he's in Chase U. Like, I don't understand like the concept of like how this all came together. Is he gonna break Duke away? Like, oh, like let's cheat. You gotta win and break him away, or like I don't know where it kind of just like they like this guy, this girl, put him in a classroom and see what happens, you know? And with Thea Hale was the most over women's superstar for such a long time. And I thought maybe she'd win the NXT Women's Championship, and then they just pulled it back and they put her back in this role as like the manager-esque role. And it's very confusing where normally the storylines in these groups, you can kind of tell where they're going. This one, I have no freaking clue.
No, for us, like even before when Duke was kind of like having his doubts, we thought Duke was going to turn and then we're going to break off or Chase U somehow.
Yeah.
And it's like we were waiting for that moment, and then the match happened. It was like they gave us kind of like clues that it was going to happen, and then it didn't happen. So like, what are you really thinking? Like that was the moment.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have shocked everybody, even though we seen it coming, but at the same time the reaction from the crowd would have made that moment even greater when Duke turns. So I was like, I was waiting for that. So it's like, do we get Rich turning on them now, and that's what they're doing with him now? I don't understand, but I'm still been waiting for this moment for Duke to really turn since he joined basically.
I give Shawn credit for trying to figure something out with this group. Like, he's got a bunch of talented dudes in there with Harlem Bravado, with Thea Hale, with Riley Osborne, with Duke Hudson. There's some talented people there. And then there's Rich Holland. And you know, it's Rich Holland. And God, there's no fucking understanding as to what the hell this dude's doing. Like, even Pete Dunne was like, dude, we broke up because you said you wanted to go out on your own. Then you retired, and now you're running with these guys. What the hell is going on?
He went back to school.
But why? Like you said, I don't understand why. But you know what? I love Chase U. I'm always going to want them to succeed, with the exception of Thea Hale. Thea Hale, I never want to succeed. As Billy Rose, right as I say that, Billy Rose types, gosh, I adore Thea. That's not going to win me any points with her. Damn.
Put her against Kelani for the North American Championship.
Yeah, I really do. Raging Ed, I'm all for it. No Ed rants tonight. I'm cool, calm, and collected tonight.
Wow.
No ranting for me tonight. We got a Joey rant. That's all we need.
Yeah, there we go.
We do go backstage after this, and we get Wesley talking about, you know, his approach. He's like, look, I don't know. I mean, this was supposed to be my night. I was supposed to be the North American champion. This was supposed to be me taking my crown back. But you know what? I didn't do it. I failed. Oba Femi was the better man tonight. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He beat me. I don't know what's next, but I need to take some time and figure out what's next. And unlike anybody in the history of the professional wrestling world, he's going to figure out what's next in 2 days. So good for him to be able to know that in 48 hours he's going to figure this shit out. Because most of us, when we need time to think and figure our shit out, it takes me months to years to figure anything out. Wesley's going to do it in 2 days.
Yeah. And didn't we see this already from him? Didn't he already like do a promo like this? Like, oh,
Yeah, he walked away after Carmelo beat him. Yeah.
Mhm.
and like
Yeah.
what? See again.
It
One of
sounded very
those-
similar to that, yeah. Mhm.
And I love NXT. Just some of these cracks that you see, I'm like, why is this happening?
Mhm.
But then again, the TNA stuff. He's
Yeah, I was gonna say they're bouncing between things. They're the normal storytelling tropes that they would do that are typically good. They're kind of having to linchpin some of these things to continue to hopefully make this TNA partnership work. And I really hope it does. Like, I'm all in for seeing TNA talent on NXT defeating NXT talent. Like, we've yet to see that, and I want to see that at some point. And then I want to see NXT talent on TNA defeating TNA talent. I go back to Battleground, where I think it would have been a much greater idea to have had Jordynne Grace defeat Roxanne and then have Roxanne answer the open challenge and have her defeat Jordynne and swap the TNA Knockouts Championship and the NXT title and have
that idea. I like it.
Days.
No, Joey, don't like it.
I think at least one title needs to be swapped. Like, even if you have, and I think we talked about it before at the beginning of the show, maybe you have Joe Hendry, because not to jump to the main event, it wasn't very clear as to what that Joe Hendry video package was. It didn't pertain to the main event. It could have been anything.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Joe Hendry comes in and beats Oba Femi for that title, brings it to TNA just to have a WWE title on TNA, or something from TNA goes to, like you said, goes to NXT. One of those things needs to happen for it to be like, oh, this is must see.
I honestly, the one thing I'll say about that, and I agree, I want one on each side to switch, because the thing that I think that ruined the Impact and AEW relationship was that it was all one-sided. It was all AEW essentially just beating down on the little guy. I think the way to prove that this is a better partnership and to make sure both companies prosper from this without just TNA prospering, financially, is if we see TNA talent going over, TNA talent winning, and having an NXT title in TNA and having a TNA title in NXT. I think that does the job. And plus, you can then make that person a wanted person, because they'll be alone on a brand that they're not a part of.
Yeah.
And I think
love that idea. Swap the titles.
Yeah. There's an interesting development for it. We'll wait and see. But at least as of right now, we haven't seen Shawn Michaels cutting a promo talking about how much superior NXT is to AEW. I mean, to TNA. So it's already better than the AEW partnership.
I was gonna say, I hope nobody's finger slipped, and that's why Joe Henry appeared on screen, because if not, somebody's in trouble tonight for slipping.
Imagine.
STG. I'm sensing with Astrid's head shake that she doesn't like Ed's idea. No, anytime I suggest that Roxanne lose, Astrid goes, no, that doesn't work for me. She becomes Hulk Hogan all of a sudden. It doesn't work for me, brother.
Not for me.
Trying to intertwine TNA and NXT when one is recorded monthly and the other is recorded live each week. It can be done. That's honestly the easiest way to do it.
They do have live TNA pay-per-views, so it does. You can make it work, but
because you can easily send NXT talent for a weekend when they're not going to be on live TV, and you can build the stuff on TNA with only sending people for 2 days, which is the great part about having that monthly tape show, is you really do get an ability to balance that.
Well, let me ask you both a question. Do you care to see Charlie Dempsey from NXT appear on TNA?
I'm excited for it. I like the idea. I love anybody beating up the Rascals, to be honest with you. So Charlie Dempsey, D'Angelo's, like anybody beating up the Rascals, they'll put a smile on my face. But
I was gonna say the thing they do have to their advantage. So, like you said with the Charlie thing just now, and even with the with Izzy Dame as well, is the fact that with TNA being taped, we do have the fans that do put this on social media, and it makes me want to go, oh, let me watch it this week because Izzy Dame's on screen, and you kind of know ahead of time in that type of sense. I think that's the only advantage in a way that TNA has, the point that people know ahead of time. Well, this week is when Izzy Dame's on screen, so let me watch it this week, and maybe it helps with TNA's numbers when they kind of know ahead of time when somebody's going to show up. Yeah. And I feel like that's I would say kind of like the difference between TNA and NXT. But again, I was like, I think it would have been great also if like TNA was still filming here in the Universal Studios. I feel like it would have been easier for them for between TNA and NXT to swap people around because they're so close to each other.
Yeah,
But it's like you never know. Yeah, I wouldn't mind any. I don't want title swaps, but I would like more talent to like be like show up like that back and forth the way we had so far, because it makes it more intriguing. Like who's gonna show up next? And it's like obviously we get that glimpse with Joe Henry here at the end of the show. So it's like when is he gonna show up? You know, everybody's saying his name on a weekly basis. So where's he at?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw, but Joe Hendry is going to be competing for the TNA World Championship at Slammiversary. And I think he may win it. And if that is the case, then that main event ending scene makes sense, because then you could do a champion versus champion match. Nothing for a title. Or maybe it is for a title.
Yeah, I think you could do a winner take all and then, you know, have somebody beat him. There are ways to do it.
Yeah.
But having two brand new champions, that's a dangerous proposition with two brand new champions. But like I like the ideas. Like I think that, and more importantly, all TNA really wants out of any of this, there are two things TNA wants. They want money, because everybody needs money.
Yeah.
And two, they want a bigger promotion to put eyes on their product.
Yeah.
Because even if only 2 or 3% of people who don't regularly watch TNA that watch NXT start watching TNA, it's going to massively jump their numbers. It's going to get people invested on potentially buying TNA Plus.
Yeah.
You know, this partnership has made Mark Talks Wrestling watch TNA, and now he has TNA Plus. So like it's helped and invested in that. And I think that there's more of those people than people think that are making the switch and watching it, because they're seeing all these talented people, most of which that we know over in TNA.
I think the biggest problem with TNA, and I've told people it on my streams, on my content, but also like people who I know that work in TNA, I've told this to. TNA needs a TV deal, because that's the biggest problem as to why they're not getting eyes. They have such a consistent product every week. TNA pushes the boundaries as to what they can do. I mean, this is a wrestling show that have literally killed off characters. Ethan Page was killed off in TNA.
Eric Young?
Yeah.
Allie?
Yeah.
Allie?
They are really the first ones to do this Forbidden Door stuff and go over to Japan, bring people from Japan, go to AEW, go to WWE. They're the first ones to do all of this stuff, and they're consistent, and they have great names. They just need a TV deal, because I feel like people don't know where to see TNA. How are you going to watch TNA? Then again, no one covers TNA because it's not on weekly TV.
Yeah.
Ethan,
No,
Ali, Tyler.
yeah. And for me, for example, I forget, like me being here in Orlando, I had the opportunity to be in TNA. So it's like, for me, it was different because I've already been introduced to it. But I think about other people who are not local to Orlando, were not here when they were in Universal, that don't know about TNA at all. It's like, and then somebody shows up from one side and it's like, who is this? And I feel like that's, for example, what happened with Jordan. Some people might have screamed because it was in Florida, and obviously we knew who she was when she was at the Rumble, so that helped a lot. Yep. But if this would have been somewhere else that wasn't near where TNA has been, she wouldn't have gotten that reaction because the people don't know her. But then now that not only she's been in the Rumble, but now when she's up in NXT, she also gets that same reaction because it's people from Orlando, so we know who she is. And it was nice to see because she gets that reaction, makes people want to go, who's Jordan? Let me look up Jordan. Let me watch her matches. Let me watch the product because of her and things like that. And I feel like it helps them out in the end. Same thing with Joe Henry is like, look at that reaction that man got to make the camera shake. That's only happened with Trick before when Trick won the title. So it's just like you got to take advantage of those reactions when they happen, and it helps out people go, who's Joe Henry? Let me look this guy up. And then when you see him, it's like, oh, he's in TNA. And like you said with Mark, for example, it makes them want to tune in to the weekly shows. It's like I used to cover it. I miss covering TNA, to be honest. But again, it's just one of those, like, it was always TNA, NXT for me, the ones that made me want to keep watching on a weekly basis.
1000% agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been a great conversation. We got a bunch of the comments that I've been waiting to kind of pull up as we go. I've been punching a bunch of them as we go, like, the one where TNA is trying to kill Joey now.
Yes. Yeah. Give me a cough attack from talking too much.
John Cena brings up an interesting question going back to Money in the Bank last night. Would any of you like to see John Cena appear on NXT and work with some of the younger talent during his retirement tour? Yes, 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 1,000 times yes.
Is it necessary though?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Nothing in John Cena's retirement tours. We were literally arguing in the our local establishment Discord last night about who John Cena's last match should be. I said it needs to end where it started with Kurt, to which I was promptly told Kurt can't wrestle anymore. I'm like,
and he even walk.
He doesn't want.
He even walk to the ring by himself.
Yes,
let him be with his kids. He can barely walk last time he was in the ring. So no, it's gonna be Randy. Okay, you gotta end it with somebody that started it with him literally.
No, Randy doesn't have to do everything.
Yes, it has to be Randy.
You know, knowing John, I don't know John Cena, but what we know about John Cena. It's not going to be Cody. I feel like the Cody match is going to happen at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Maybe he wins the WWE title to break the record, because if anybody deserves it, it's Cena. His last opponent is going to be putting somebody over to make them a star. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a Carmelo Hayes. It's going to be a Trick Williams. It's going to be
Oba Femi.
Maybe.
redo that whole Brock Lesnar destroying John Cena thing at SummerSlam. That could work. Braun Breaker.
It could be. Honestly, Braun Breaker is an excellent choice. And then also it could be Randy Orton, who I think is the match that we need to see, especially at a WrestleMania. But also we can recreate Money in the Bank 2011. Have CM Punk do it and then blow a kiss to him, like, bye, see you the hell later.
We got a couple options in the chat with it's gonna be Kurt Angle's son, Jason Jordan.
Oh no, don't break my heart like
John
that.
Cena versus Gunther, and Gunther kills him off.
This is on TNA, okay?
You gotta put down Kurt. Like, I love Kurt. I
like Kurt, but no, I was serious. I was like, the last time he wrestled, he looked like he could barely get up. So I was like, he even walked to the ring himself.
Listen, look who retired. Look who retired Kurt Angle.
Baron Corbin.
Maybe Baron Corbin's the one to retire John Cena.
Oh, could he do both? Oh my God.
They still won't make him a world champion. Damn it.
If John Cena gets a 17th title district. No, I don't think so. I think John's one of the few people that Rick would allow to break that record, considering they all have similar mindsets into certain things.
But also, Ric Flair is complaining already, so...
Yeah. Get the Tables does bring an interesting idea to the table. Does Cena win his last match? I don't think so. Cena's way too much of a realist to go out on top. I think he goes out on his back.
I kind of agree with you there. I think winning would make no sense. It would be a heartfelt moment, but then when he does lose and gets up and says goodbye, that's also a heartfelt moment. So either way, everyone, including myself, are going to be crying like a little baby the whole year of 2025. You know how we're always looking for, next year is going to be a great year. I'm already like, I'm going to be crying the whole year. John Cena's last everything.
Yeah. As a Boston boy through and through, I'm very upset about the idea that this is the final job. I didn't want to know it was coming. Like, I didn't want him to do this retirement tour. I just didn't want to know. I just wanted all of a sudden it to be over.
Could we just talk about how, like, the number one saddest moment in wrestling now is him coming out last night at Money in the Bank, opening that towel with this is the last time or something. And then he's like, he looks at the camera guy, it's time. I was like, oh, no.
Dagger to the heart.
Not like, why? And then with the shirt with the door on it, it says, after this, you can't see me. I'm like, I'm trying to enjoy Money in the Bank, and you're making me cry. Like, what the hell?
One sleeve had what's the Embrace the Hate storyline? What was the other one? Rise Against Hate or Rise Above Hate?
Yeah,
Rise Above.
Yeah, it had that one on one side and Hustle Loyalty. Like, oh, John, you're killing me, buddy.
I'm a chain gang soldier through and through. That's it.
Mark says, right, I'm going to bed. It's 3:41 for me. Hope you all have a great ending. Joey, has been amazing seeing you all. See you soon.
Good night. Good night.
I'm just happy it's front on for another year. Rise above hate was the thing.
Yeah.
John Cena, we're going to get off this in just a minute, but John Cena says Cena to win the IC title during his retirement tour to become a Grand Slam champion. It's a possibility. I see the IC title way more than I see him winning another world title.
I'd rather that go to Sheamus. Give Sheamus the IC title to get that Grand Slam. Cena has done everything else. The Grand Slam doesn't really matter to him.
Speaking of things that don't matter, no, next thing matters. Roxanne versus Lola Vice. Oh, boy. Astrid, can you find anything good to say about Roxanne versus Lola Vice?
Wait, did you drink your haterade today too? Is that why?
I've got my haterade right here.
I know you do every week. No, I know this is gonna shock you, and you're probably gonna disagree with me, and that's totally fine. But I would say this was Lola's best match in NXT. It really
It doesn't
was.
take much.
Hey, it's my time. Calm down, sir. You'll take your turn. Thank you very much. If not, I'll mute you too, and forget you're muted. No, I feel like it was a great match for me because it was the point that we have Roxanne as a heel, and I've always liked this, like when she started showing kind of her vicious side, and we got a lot of that tonight. And the way that once Lola hit the post with her hand, she like pinpointed that injury throughout the whole match, and I really love that. The moment of like even towards the end when she's about to hit the crossface and she's like, no, let me do it with the other hand, the one that's actually injured. She turns around to go towards that hand, and the way she just targeted it, it was just well done. And even Lola, just the way she was just selling the injury, it was really well done here. There were so many moments to like think of. This reminded me of like Cody with Roman at WrestleMania with the three crossroads to do 4 pop rocks. I think it was almost 5, or it was 5. And during this whole match to defeat Lola, I just couldn't believe it. That's the first time that happens. And it was very surprising. I was scared for a moment that Lola was going to win and shake her butt with the title because I didn't want to see that. But I'm very glad it was Roxanne keeping the championship. I was just disappointed because I really was hoping that we would get something either from Cora or even Julia, as we mentioned, just like at least like a video package of like showing that like basically she's the next one in. So I'm guessing obviously we don't have a time frame to Julia coming here. That's the only thing. I really wanted something to show up on screen to like really scare off Roxanne. But again, I felt like this was her best match as a heel. The way she just performed, it was really well done, and I really liked everything here that happened. I was just glad that Roxanne retained the championship too, because we knew it was gonna happen anyway. To Mike and to Andre, you're welcome.
Joey, what do you think of this match?
I would have liked to see a closer, maybe a closer potential win for Lola. You know, what we've seen from Lola over the last few weeks in regards to Roxanne, she really took it to her in that promo, even though there was a lot of people complaining about the promo from last week. It felt very off. Roxanne kind of seemed lost in that promo. And then Lola kind of didn't pick up the cues properly. It was kind of disastrous to build a title match, but it is NXT. We have to remember that. I would have liked to see a closer call to maybe Lola getting a potential win here. It was a good match for Lola. Roxanne, I feel like it's Roxanne, so you know what to expect. But this was a defining moment for Lola because over the last few months, they've really been pushing her, you know, doing this stuff with Shayna Baszler, doing this stuff with Natty, the underground matches, really building her up at a fast pace. And it's worked because she's a heel, and now she's organically being cheered. And after that promo she cut on Tuesday last week, that was the missing piece as what she needed to be a superstar in NXT. And she doesn't have to win the title right now, but now she's on the radar as a top contender in NXT. She needs to stop shaking her ass, especially when she's crying, because it does not. You can smile and dance, but if you're crying and dancing, it makes no sense. So she's still learning, but I think she's a made woman now in NXT.
So I'm gonna throw this comment out.
It's coming. I know it.
I didn't hate this one.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Don't get me wrong. I didn't like what Lola did here. But It was indeed her best match. Again, not a high bar to jump over, but it was indeed her best match. I thought her selling was, as Astrid said, sensational in this. I really believed that Lola thought she had a chance to win this. I loved what Roxy was doing, carrying a bunch of the weight for this match. I think Roxy did a lot of heavy carrying. But at the end of the day, Lola held up her end of the bargain right up to the very end. Literally the very end with that fourth Pops Rocks where everybody just goes a tumbling down. That's the only real bad spot this entire match had. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that they botched the ending. Mm-hmm. And as you know from Damian Priest and Seth Rollins, when you botch the ending, people remember that. Mm-hmm. No, I thought Lola did really good in this match. I think bringing her back down to the North American Women's Championship after this, if you find a way to turn her babyface, and I don't know how you're going to make her promos babyface, but you might be able to find a way. Her versus Jada Parker might be something worth watching. I think that might be something fun to see. And everybody makes mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here and focusing on the botch. That's fine. Shit happens. Like, end of the day, we're all professionals. We all make mistakes. I fall down when I walk just like everybody else. Like, shit. Not now, ads. Poor Millie Rose. You botch the end, and that's the part people remember. Fair, unfair. It's just like I agree, but at the same time, like I give her credit. She stepped up her game tonight. Roxanne did what, like Joey said, what Roxanne does. This was way better than it had any right to be, and because of the fact that Mike the ref is not going to let us hear the end of it if we don't bring it up, Mike the ref puts out there that Lola may or may not have had her foot underneath the bottom rope when she was pinned. So maybe there's a rematch. I hope not. But there's room in there for a rematch. But Roxanne continues to say, there's nobody in the world that's on my level. That means that whoever's going to be on her level is going to come from somewhere else in the world. Cue Julia. I really wished it had been tonight where Ava comes out and says, Roxanne, congratulations on your title defense. You did an incredible job. By the way, I found you another challenger. You now have a month to prepare for your opponent. And by the way, here's the message from her. And she points to the Titantron. And it's Julia from earlier today at the Marigold show, where she pre-records a segment talking about how she's coming to NXT and she's taking down the one that she saw win the title in front of her eyes. And that's Roxanne Perez, because she was there at Stand and Deliver when Roxanne won the title back. That's what I thought was going to happen here. Obviously, she may be winning I don't remember what the Marigold title's name is. I know it has a really weird, funky name. But she might be beating Spree for that title to go ahead and win that. Either way, the match wasn't great, but the match was good enough to be what it needed to be. And yes, it was Lola's best match. The botch wasn't that bad, but obviously when you fall down taking the Pop Rocks, it's semi-noticeable. And poor Vic Joseph having to say, they need a fifth Pop Rocks. Oh, poor Vic. He tried. He really tried. Billy Rose says, wow, I'm impressed, Ed. You're not a complete and total hater with this. I have the ability to sometimes see things through the glasses of the way things are as opposed to just drinking my haterade. I don't like doing it. I like being an idiot on the internet. But like I said, that's all the character. Like, I want to see all these people succeed. I don't want to see people botch. I don't want to see people have bad matches. Bad matches aren't good for anybody. And Lola's still learning and still getting used to this. And it's still developmental, as Joey said. Like, they're all learning and training at this point. So it's good to see what's going to happen. But I'm excited for the future if Lola can continue to improve. If Big if, but it is an if.
Just stop shaking her ass and she'll be good.
That would help.
Yeah, and stop saying you're Latina every 5 seconds. We know already. We know. We will not forget.
We then get a preview of what we're going to see this Tuesday night on NXT, and it's Lexis King versus Tony D'Angelo in a Heritage Cup match, all based on Twitter beef back and forth, where we found out that Tony D'Angelo likes to garden. Good for Tony. And organic living. It's nice. Arianna versus Karmen, which was made earlier tonight on this show as well. And we have a pair of tag team matches for people going ahead and settling scores. We got OTM taking on the Good Brothers, and we have Gallus taking on TNT of Tyson, Igwe, and Tyreek, and I forget what Tyreek's last name is.
Yeah.
That's why I call them TNT, because I don't remember the name. No, poor Lola. No, poor Lola. No, poor Lola. Lola can shake her ass all she wants on social media. That's fine. Stop doing it on my television screen.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a good friend stopping by. Happy birthday to you, my friend.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So thank you for joining us. And he says, Ethan Page, yes. And speaking of, let's go right to it. The main event. Trick Williams versus Javon Evans versus All Ego versus Shawn Spears. Joey, what'd you think of the main event?
Awesome main event. This match, and I had tweeted this out during the show, this match had everything that you need in a wrestling match. You have the charisma, you have the good guys, you have the bad guys, you have the high flying, you have, Ethan Page and Shawn Spears kind of doing their comedy stuff together. It had everything. And the finish, I think, was brilliant. I also had tweeted it's inevitable that Ethan Page becomes NXT champion, because it is inevitable, and not anymore, because he is. Spoiler alert. But this match was perfect in every way possible. Like, it showed off how great Javon Evans is. It showed that Shawn Spears deserves to be in a higher spotlight in NXT. It shows that Ethan Page has always been world champion material. And it shows that they have so much more in store for Trick Williams. And I think that the entire match it delivered.
I'm going to bring up a thing that our good friend Kimmy Sokol, who watches a lot of Ring of Honor. And for those that didn't watch Ring of Honor, Ethan Page was trying to win a championship for his daughter. He was trying to win the ROH television championship. And he never got to that match because whether he was ducking him or not, Kyle Fletcher could never be at Ring of Honor because, champions on Ring of Honor? No, not in my Ring of Honor. But anyways, catch the Honor Ramble every Thursday where we talk about how little the champions are on Ring of Honor. Yeah, but she tweeted out, Ethan Page finished his own story and finally won gold for his daughter. Only real fans will remember this one. It's so great to see him, because I said it on Tuesday. He's never held a prominent singles championship in any of the promotions he's ever been in. He's been a tag team champion in every promotion that he's really been in where he's had the opportunity to be a tag team champion. He was a tag team champion with Josh Alexander in about 6 places that are considered prominent places to be champion. But he never held that world championship. And it's so great to finally see, by hook or by crook and by falling down if it needs to. Yes, ROH has champions. They don't often appear on Ring of Honor, but they have champions. Hell, we even saw the Pure Championship this week for a couple minutes. But no, getting back to Ethan Page. Getting the trick shot knee to fall into the cover for Shawn Spears to pull Trick Williams out was a finish of pure brilliance in a Fatal 4-Way match. It's just, I've never seen it. In all my years of watching Fatal 4-Ways, I've never seen that type of a finish. Where
Really?
One guy hits the finisher and then gets pulled out of the ring by somebody outside the ring. Normally they get tossed out like we saw earlier where they hit the C4 off the top rope and then Ethan grabbed Shawn, threw him out, and went for the pin himself. I can't remember ever getting back to seeing the outside guy, the 4th person in the match, stop the match for everybody and let somebody else win.
I love how Millie just said, what a callback, because it is a callback.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember. I don't remember which year, and I don't remember what pay-per-view it was, but it was a fatal four-way match for the WWE Championship. John Cena was defending against Edge, Randy Orton, and Shawn Michaels. And Edge, I believe, hit a spear, or Randy hit an RKO on Edge, and then John Cena had an attitude adjustment on Randy, and then Shawn Michaels super kicked John Cena, and he fell onto somebody, got the pin. And I don't remember what event that was, but it's just funny that Shawn Michaels is the one running NXT. He's the one who did the
He does that, yeah.
He does the callbacks. This was 1,000% a callback to that match. I don't know if it was at the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view.
No, it's I was just saying.
Backlash. Okay,
Backlash.
Backlash. Yeah. He sweet chin music, John Cena. John Cena fell back onto one of the either Edge or Randy, and 1, 2, 3 got the win. Retained his title.
I didn't think about that, but Shawn likes to do that often. He takes his own storylines and places it nowadays because a lot of people probably won't remember them. That's why he probably thinks.
The brilliance of Shawn.
Bailey's sitting out here saying, who produced this match? They hit it out of the park. It's a good question. I'm hoping in the next few days we'll start to see something from Fightful Select or some of the other outlets once we start to find out who the producers were, because that information is pretty readily available and isn't typically held up by the companies. So finding out who a producer is for a particular match shouldn't be too hard to find out. Astrid, your thoughts on the main event?
It was so fun. I especially like the beginning of this when we had Shawn and Once and Ethan kind of competing with each other. It's like, I hit this guy on the steel. Said, no, I hit him. And it's like, no, I can do it better than you. And then they go to the ring and we get the crowd having the two Canadians in front of each other and they just look each other in the eye. And they just like, that moment itself was just so fun to begin with. Again, it just like, there was a moment like the one you mentioned that when we had the trick shot, I think Ethan came in and did the pin. What I really thought that was going to be the 3 count. I thought this was like the ultimate kind of heel moment. It reminded me of like what Edge is like having the like ultimate, moment there in pinning him and taking that pin and stealing it the way he does. It's like that was the moment that I kept thinking, oh yeah, he's going to win it here. But I love how there's so many close calls, and I kept thinking, oh, this is the one. And all of a sudden, Trick would come in and interrupt, and I was like, holy crap, where did you come from? How is this happening? And I wonder how Javon Evans got up from after the commentary table to be part of the ending, because I really thought he was dead after that. And I remembered at the end, I was like, well, no, he was the one that Ethan pinned. It's like, how did he get there after that? I have no idea. And I love the part where he like bounced off and he hit Trick, and they say, oh, he didn't want to hit Trick, but Ethan got out of the way. So he ended up hitting Trick by the barricade. It's like those kind of moments that he's like, no, he didn't want to do it on Trick, but there was nothing else he could do. And even towards the beginning when he pins Trick, and he was like, I was that close of getting you. And it was like a 2.5 kind of count. I was like, I love that even during this match, he was the highlight of the match. And thinking even with him losing, I feel like in the end he still won because he wins the crowd over. He gets that admiration from the crowd, from the fans, not only in the arena but online as well. Because his performance, he was the MVP of this match. He was everywhere. He did everything to everybody. I just don't know how he survived in the end. To be honest, that's just amazing. But I think this was definitely his best performance in NXT so far. So I can begin to imagine what he does after this. But again, that ending, I was waiting for Shawn Spears to like, let Trick kind of break the pin again so the match would continue, not let Ethan win the match. So I wonder if Shawn's going to say, I won a match now because technically I helped you win. Yeah. So I think that's something that's going to happen. And not only that, but the flash of Joe Hendry at the end was just like the cherry on top. I love that, man. So I was very happy when I saw that too.
Yeah. I mean, this was a top to bottom great show. There is one thing I have to post because it was posted on Twitter while we were on the air. It was actually posted just a few minutes ago. No, about an hour ago. Wow, she still won.
Ava is so good on social media.
She learned from somebody great. I mean, I can't imagine who in her family would have, the smarts to utilize social media to the best of its ability and, be able to make sure to manipulate their image that they're the greatest thing in the world. And nobody, right?
Yeah, I wonder. That's definitely like final boss aura,
Yeah. If only she knew that final boss guy. It'd be great. Ava doesn't get enough credit for how good she is as a GM. I agree. Millie Rose has just found the clip, and it's the direct callback. Shawn's done, like Astrid said, the Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes story is almost a beat-for-beat takeoff of him and Triple H. Roxanne passing out, after with exhaustion, with the anxiety stuff after the Miko Satomura match is a direct callback to the Owen Hart match with Shawn Michaels, where he passed out. Yeah, he adores taking some of his favorite moments and putting them into the stuff. This is a hell of a show. The whole show itself, this post show was really fun. I've really enjoyed it. But Joe, we got to let you tell the people where they can find you on a week-to-week basis.
Of course. Well, first off, thank you guys for having me as a guest on your show. I had a great time. Love NXT. Appreciate Astrid for reaching out. You can find me on every single platform that there is for any type of social media at The Angle Joey. If you want to find me on YouTube, it's at The Angle Podcast. I do original content, like going over topics, all types of wrestling topics. I do interviews as well. I have one dropping this week. I just posted one last week with Jonathan Coachman. And hopefully I'll be doing some more when I go to SummerSlam in a few weeks. And you can find me, like I said, The Angle Joey, all social media platforms. Every day I post, so come follow me and don't miss anything.
Yeah, we appreciate having you. It was fantastic. Astrid, what have you got going on this week?
Well, again, on Tuesday with you taking over, we'll be talking a little bit more of what happens after Heatwave and what we got going on, hopefully, for the Pan American Bash.
Aren't you sick of it yet?
It's been how long? Almost 3 years at this point? Ay.
But you've worked with me for, what is it, 4 shows in 8 days?
I think we need a break, at least until Tuesday.
All right.
That should be
enough.
break
until Tuesday night.
Best friend material right there. I see it.
Hopefully after that we'll be recording Ladies Wrestling Showcase to post this week on my YouTube channel if you haven't yet. I think that's about it for this week at least. Hopefully more content coming up soon. If you scan the QR code, you can shop at Debbie Shop with my affiliate code. And then the next one, there you go. My shirt, if you scan the QR code, you get the shirt for you wear. And then the next one, no, I think that's it.
Have another one?
Yeah, I have the other one. But you can find me on my Twitter, Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, and then Instagram and Perez, Astrid Pizarro20. And everything else you can find on my YouTube channel, which is Astrid Pizarro, which hopefully I will upload my Jessica Troy interview, which was on Body Slam if you haven't checked it out yet.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter at edfries12584. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/edfries2002. When I do some gaming content, it will be there. We'll also simulcast this week. We've got another episode of Marvel Talk coming out on Wednesday night. Me and Andre C. and Boris from Sunday night's main event is going to be joining us as we talk all things. We're doing our MCU Rebound look back review show as we're reviewing Age of Ultron this week. So that's going to be a fun one. Can't wait to go ahead and do that. And then I have a nice slow week next week. It's just Tuesday and Wednesday. You might catch me on Honor Ramble this week as they are without a guest. So I may be on there doing Honor Ramble depending on how the flooring situation goes in the living room. We're having new flooring put in. So if the internet is working up to snuff, I'll be doing it then. If not, well, then I get a couple more days off. It's been a long weekend, all. Make sure you go ahead and check out. Oh, that's the wrong one. I need this one. The Our Local Establishment podcast at all of these different locations on Twitch, on X at Ole Podcast, on Instagram and Threads at Ole Podcasts, and of course on YouTube and Twitch at Our Local Establishment. You can go ahead and follow that. If you give us a subscribe and watch the videos, we greatly appreciate it. We're pretty close to the first level of monetization on YouTube, so we're hoping that we can get there in the next few weeks as we head into SummerSlam, but we will see what we can do as we get there. Thank you, Joey, for joining us. It has been a fantastic time. Thank you all for sticking around. A bunch of you from the raid did stick around, and we greatly appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and find a raid for everybody else, but while we do that, we're going to say goodbye. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
You're watching OLE, and this is a Dijak Hijack.